Hey, what's up? So today I wanted to share a technique that I use a ton when it comes to making arguably one of the hardest parts of our music, which is the bass line, at least for me, to make it not sound like just a bunch of notes being played, right? And I end up using samples and a low pass filter, and that's basically it. But I wanted to show you the technique, how you can basically do this with any sampler. And yeah, and just basically it, just make like a little pattern to kind of get the idea going. So today's video, of course, is sponsored by Tracklib, but you can do this with any sample. I came across this sample here called Brian Auger's Oblivion Express. It's a track called Tomorrow City. Check this out. And yes, I'm gonna take all of this, right? Drums, guitar, bass, everything, but this part right here. There's so much movement here, especially in the bass. And of course, with Tracklib, I could take the 15 multi-tracks and just listen for the bass, right? Right, and we would call it done. But I kind of like this weirdness of sampling an entire track to kind of get a ton of material that forces me to work a little bit. And this is kind of some would say, I guess, an old school way of getting bass lines. I did this a lot on the MPC 3000 as well as the MPC 4000. So anyway, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to our master track here. I'm just gonna turn on a loop of 8, and I want this little section here. So download loop, 1 credit. Let's go ahead and download the track. And while that downloads really quick, if you're interested in checking out Tracklib, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, there's an awesome deal down in the description below in case you wanted to try it out. Free trial. All right, so downloaded. I want to go ahead and open up Transfer. I got my Tracklib folder here, and let me just open up Finder, Brian Augers. I'll drag this over straight into Transfer. What's cool about the Tracklib little loop player, I looped it so I can only grab 8 bars because I didn't want the entire song. I just wanted this one specific sample to mess with. I didn't want to dive through using the start points resolution on the Digitakt to try and get a better vibe for where I was going. Okay, so we have the sample here in the Digitakt. Let's go ahead and assign it to track 8. I'm going to scroll down to an empty slot over here and hit yes. I'll go find my Tracklib, Brian Auger. Yep. Load a project, bam. As with everything in life, there's a million ways to approach this, right? So what I'm gonna do is on track 8, I'm just gonna put 2 triggers down, essentially just half a bar apart, right? So we have this. Probably like, what the heck? Okay, this sounds a little wild. We start moving our start point. Okay. So you're probably like, what is this dude listening to, right? What I'm hearing, I'm mainly listening for just the low end. I will say that this technique is probably one of the most annoying techniques that you can do, especially if you have a significant other or some family nearby. They would be like, yo, shut up. But watch, we'll turn the filter down all the way. And I'll just start bringing this up a little bit. Right, and I'm gonna turn the resonance up to emphasize that low end. And if you really wanted to be safe, we can go into our bass width and really just shave off a lot more of that guitar sound that's still kind of bleeding through. If you want to bring back a little sizzle, you can use something like sample rate reduction and do it post filter, which is after. But for this case, I don't want to do that. Now let's go to our kick track, which is track 1. Let's just put some kick. Okay. We're kind of getting somewhere, right? You see where we're taking this? I'm gonna save this pattern just as a backup. We'll go to track 8 again. And I'm gonna try and just move one of these steps off. Maybe here. Yeah, listen to that right there. And what's great about this technique is 1, we already know what key we're in, and 2, just moving the start point can end up in giving you an entirely different result or a new bass line, right? That again is coming from the same sample, which means it's already gonna be in key. So let's go ahead and try that. But actually, yeah, you know what? Let's see. I don't wanna get too far ahead of myself, but let's go ahead and put in a couple little hi-hat sounds here. Maybe we'll do one of these. Okay, see, we hear I want that clap, clap. So we can move the kick around, or we can just move the sample track around. So we're here, we need this to move back 4 steps. Holding down function, 1, 2, 3, 4. Go back to track 2. There's that. Awesome. We'll save this pattern, and sure, we'll put in some of these. I bet that's muted, as it always is. I'll say trigger. We'll take these and turn the velocity way down. These two as well. Turn the level down completely. Go to our filter. I really do not like these hi-hats here. These need a lot more movement, so we'll just say velocity, velocity, velocity. And then turn our amp down on those, give a little bit more reverb. Filter, we'll do a high pass for these. Resonance up. A little bit of an envelope on that. Reverse. Bring them up. Go to this. There it is. Let's throw a little compressor on here. Whew, this is slamming. Okay, so track 8 you can hear is really bumping. We'll turn that resonance down a little bit. And like, say you were to go and get like a little synth line. Again, we already know what key we're in, which is D minor. We can go ahead and just add like this dope little lead line to this, or try and make a new bass line. And actually, yeah, let's go ahead and try to make a new bass line. But before I do that, as promised earlier, let me tell you a little bit about Tracklib. Essentially, if we go over to our browse, we have tons and tons of records that actually exist from the real world, from real artists that you can sample. For example, going back to Tomorrow City, this is Brian Auger's Oblivion Express. You can see here it came out in 1971. It's jazz, it's in D minor. You can even do stuff like, for example, let's just take the master track that we're working on here. We'll throw on a little 2-bar loop, throw on a beat just to kind of get a vibe. Let's see what early house sounds. And I'll be honest, more often than not, I don't know why I don't just export this and call it my own track, because it always sounds way better than majority of my creations. But essentially what it means is you got plans and pricing and how to use this. You sign up for this, $5.99 a month, you get 25 track downloads a month. But what's amazing about Tracklib, where they really step in and solve the problem, for me at least, is when it comes to licensing my music. So again, Tomorrow City, this is a license C category. What does that mean? I pay 50 bucks only when I'm ready to release this song, and I can split royalties with Brian Auger's Oblivion Express, category C, and depending on how many seconds I use, that will dictate what the percentage of royalties split is with him, and it never gets more than 20%. So like I said before, it's really dope. It's a cool way to kind of collaborate with artists from the past and kind of give back and do some legit releases with real music for a great price. So if you're interested in something like Tracklib, please use the link down in the description below to get 15 free track downloads, as well as a free trial subscription for 30 days that you can cancel anytime. Yo, welcome back. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this pattern here. We'll go to pattern 2, I'm gonna paste it here, and on track 8, I'm gonna just clear track 8's pattern. I copy pasted the pattern so we still have the general beat, right? I'm not gonna lie, this beat's pretty whack. But we can go into track 8 now and try something new. Let's try moving. Yo, that is gnarly right there. I'm gonna save this again as a backup, but let's try pushing this off again. And I'm gonna take this one and push it way off. Put one here. You can hear how overpowering this bass is. So again, lowering that resonance. The reason I have it cranked up so high is we're working with really, really, really low frequencies here. And if you're watching this on just your laptop or your cell phone, you probably are not hearing the bass line at all. So I am cranking this mother just so we can really hear it. And again, if you want to add that little sizzle, right, you go into here, we'll copy this little track pattern, we'll clear it. Go to our LFO, we'll say sample level. And I'll say on the first one, we'll trigger it so that it syncs up. And we'll go to our delay here. Feedback down, high pass up. Okay, so now you go into track 7 and we'll say source. I have a couple other synth sounds in here, do I not? Yeah, let me see. Awesome, we'll go ahead and do this and go into chromatic mode, keyboard fold, we'll go into minor and D. Reverb, we'll turn that decay up. There we go. Sure, let's go ahead and do that. We'll go to the next pattern. And on this pattern here, once it triggers, we'll make it 32 steps, clear that out, and try to do something. Same thing, go back to your amp, super staccato. Maybe add some wilder notes. Let's take a chance here. I'm gonna save this pattern and I'm gonna throw in some. Quantize this, help me out a little. Go throw some swing on this. Yeah, I don't know where this is going. Get a little squelchy on here. Yes! This is something like a genre that I would probably never make. I mean, I clearly made it now, but I wouldn't release anything like this. But this isn't just specific to this genre. I really hope this was the best example for this. I use this in a ton of my tracks. And what's really wild is, for example, if we go back to the first pattern, right, and we go to track 8, which is really bumping with the resonance, we'll save this. We'll take out this little ride in here, right? And we'll turn the swing up again. But again, listen to this sample. It just sounds, it's like chaos, right? But if you can really hone it down and bring it down, I think that's where these weird, intricate bass lines that I wouldn't really be able to make on a synthesizer by itself. And of course, this isn't for the faint of heart. If you're really technical and you want your sound to be super precise, this might not be the best technique for you. I love the slop, I love the craziness, I love the weird rhythms and the clash of tempos. And what this allows me to get, listening to just this, is these weird kind of almost portamento-y slides, which is a play off of the kick and the bass itself. And it reminds me a lot of some of my super early on inspiration, which were like a lot of Dirty Bird records. What is the one by Claude Von Stroke? It came out like in 2009 or 10. I can't remember what it was. Man, I used to play it all the time. But anyway, what he would do would have these really bouncy, weird, sweeping, kind of like swooshy bass lines. And I always thought it was him just messing with the pitch bend. And same with Justin Martin, part of the Dirty Bird crew as well. They just have these really like slippery, trippy bass lines that would always just freak me out, and I wouldn't figure out how to do it, but I don't think this is how they do it. But this helped me get closer to that, and it kind of made me find this weird way of going about getting these bass lines and kind of getting your own technique and your own sound. So please try this out. It's fun. It's really cool. Just take the most random sample you can find, low pass the crap out of it, and see what comes out of it. Throw a kick on there and see if you can find the rhythm within that rhythm. And you know what? Let me see if I can find the track that I released with this technique on it. Okay, so I found it, and here's the sample I took off of the Octatrack. You can hear there's drum rolls and another like weird clean guitar on top of there. And there's no drums on this because this was originally done with the Syntac. But for example here, I'll just go ahead and just do some, a quick little Digitakt thing in here. We'll grab this, I'll mute this. Yo. Right, you get the idea. We're kind of there. I mean, of course, this EQ is a little wild. We'll go into here and throw the utility on here as well. Bump that up. Right, we'll hit a couple levels. We're kind of clipping here on the back end, but it's all right. We'll put on the Ricky T secret multi-band compressor. Push those highs, push the mids. Right, and then boom, you're kind of off to the races. You throw on a little Nord or some wild third wave or whatever you want to do, and you're set. You're good. So again, hopefully this technique you found a little helpful. I'm hoping this was the best explanation of it. There's a million ways to do it. You might see me do it in other videos. And yeah, it's always good to see you. Hope to see you again next week. If you enjoyed this video, I think you might enjoy this one as well. And until then, my friend, you already know the drill. Share the love, share the knowledge. Knowledge is power. Peace.